of it's happenstance, some of it's strategy. I love to plan, but it doesn't always pan out the way I hope.
Yep.
I'm a big planner. But when I'm strategizing, so here's the thing that I really like to look at is growth potential, right? So if I'm looking at a field, at an industry, is the industry saturated? Is it a new industry? Is there an opportunity for growth in that industry? And if there is, then that's the industry I want to move out first. The one that I believe has the highest growth potential.
Welcome to the Building to Scale podcast, where we bring real entrepreneur stories that showcase the challenges and successes in building and scaling an entrepreneurial business. Our host, Jeff Chastain, is a business transformation coach with Admentis, where he coaches business leaders and their teams with a proven set of principles and tools, helping them gain clarity in and get more of what they want from their business. Make sure to stick around until the end of the show, and we will reveal how you can become our next guest.
Hello, everybody. Jeff Chastain here with the Building to Scale podcast, where I get the opportunity really to speak with entrepreneurial business leaders and influencers, really just hearing their stories of both challenges and successes as they've grown and scaled their businesses over the years. So today's guest I have with me here is Casey Stubbs, and he is the owner CEO of Trading Strategy Guide. So Casey, first off, welcome to the show and hope all is well these days.
Yeah, everything's great. Thanks for having me, Jeff. I'm excited to be here.
So really appreciate your time and everything, but tell us a little bit more about Trading Strategy Guides. What's going on? What's your role today these days in business?
So just a quick overview is the company's been about 11 years old. I started in 2008. Just thought I'd try starting a website, see how that would go for me. It worked out pretty well. And since then, now I have about 5 or 6 websites, many different brands. I've scaled to a team of about 30 people, and I had my highest year in revenue this year. And not to say I'm just wonderful and that everything's great, but it's going to be over $2 million. A lot of challenges on the way, but I've learned a lot along the way also.
And I think that's really the key there with most entrepreneurs, because like you said, it was just start off with a website. It's something really easy to do. It's in a lot of ways kind of easy to get there, but yeah, we tend to learn by trial by fire more often than not, put it that way.
So true.
So tell me a little bit more about your background, because I believe you started off military, didn't you?
Yeah, I got out of high school and I went to college for about 1 semester. And maybe two semesters, and I just couldn't handle it. Just too much for me. And so there was an Army recruiter in the hallway, and I said, "Take me away, get me out of this place. I hate it." And so I got out of there, and I was really glad to leave school.
Well, and it's not a fit for everybody. I actually saw a survey the other day saying that basically for entrepreneurial kind of business leaders, less than 44% actually had any kind of college degree, and even fewer than that was business degree kind of a thing. So it's definitely not the story for everybody. So it looked like you were, what did I see, 9+ years there in the military?
Yeah. So, I love learning. I just don't like doing it in school. And the military was a great learning experience. Got to be around a lot of great people. Got to travel a lot, which is a really cool thing. Traveling and experience different cultures teaches you a lot as well. But I did that for about 9.5 years and got out. And I was always doing stock trading as a second source of revenue.
Okay.
But when I got out, then I got into the construction industry in 2008. That was a big downturn. No construction, there was the mortgage crisis and it really dried up. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to just start a website and share about what I'm learning in trading and see how that works for me. Because I couldn't find a job. I tried everywhere.
Yeah, 2008 was definitely fun. We faced a lot of changes there as well, but that's kind of one of those unfortunate sides of business is there's always going to be up and downs as we sit here and record this right now in the middle of still trailing edges of 2020 and the pandemic kind of stuff going on. So what is it about the stock trading side that drew your interest? How'd you turn to entrepreneur on stock trading here?
Well, I have been entrepreneurial always. It's just been exciting to me. So when I was 16, my dad got me started into it I was a computer nerd, and he needed to get his charts on the computer for the first time, because they used to look at them in the paper. And then in the 90s, when I was in high school, they went online, and he's like, hey, I don't know how to use a computer. Help me set these charts up. So I'm like, okay. And then I saw these charts. I'm like, what is this? And I got really excited about the stock market and have been doing it ever since. But really, if you look at the billionaire list, which I am kind of strange, I like to follow that list. The guys like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, and those guys all got there through company ownership and through stocks. That's how a lot of wealth gets created. And so, that got me excited. I wanted to see what those guys were doing and what I could do to ride their wave.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, that's honestly one of the reasons we're putting this together in the first place, is just saying, okay, what's that mentor? What's that other example that you can sit there and follow, kind of a thing? Because you don't always have to reinvent the wheel in business. So walk me through starting a website to now being a 30 plus person company. How did you end up from 0 or from 1 to 30 there?
So I obviously had no idea what I was doing, and a little bit of luck was involved, because I'm writing some articles online, and it was easier back then, to be honest, just because there wasn't as much competition on the internet. And so I wrote some articles, and people just started showing up. And, they say, if you build it, they won't come.
Yeah.
But in my case, they did. And I just started to get a lot of traffic, and didn't know how to turn it into money. If you get a website, you got two problems, right? Problem number one is, can you get traffic? Problem number two is, can you convert that traffic into money? So I accidentally solved problem one with traffic, and it just started coming. And then I had to figure out how to make money, but people just started coming to me and say, hey, I want to put ads on your site. Oh, will you sell this for me? Oh, I have this product. And so I was shocked because somebody said, hey, I have this product. Would you try to sell it? And it was a trading product, education. And I sent it out to my email list, and I made like $15,000. And for a guy who, from my background, not having a lot of money, to make that kind of money just from sending one email, my mind was totally blown.
Yeah. So what is, again, kind of looking at the growth of the business, where have you got, because I know we talked about it a little bit beforehand in terms of people coming in, how did you go about building that? And where did you really hit the need to say, hey, okay, this needs to go beyond just me?
And so the main thing I could probably do is do the solopreneur thing. A lot of people like to do that, but I'm a go big or go home type of guy. And so I have these goals. I keep my goal sheet sitting right here on my desk. I want to hit the $20 million mark. So I sit here and I read it every day. And that's why I drive to make it bigger, and because of the need. A lot of people don't understand the financial markets, and I'm a big believer in helping people accomplish their goals, and it with finance and investing. And so that's why I added the team, just because it's bigger than what I can do on my own, and I need people to help me do the things that I can't do.
Yeah. So what really was kind of that catalyst? Was it just the goals, or what was that catalyst to say, hey, I'm going to go hire that next person, hire number 2, hire number 3 here?
Well, the best thing is I got really, again, fortune hit my side. The first guy I hired was really tremendous, and he just did such a fantastic job. Just having him on, he was a young college dropout like me, so we kind of had a lot in common. Actually, he started working for me, and he started making pretty decent money. He's like, I'm not going to school because I'm not learning what I'm learning for you, so I'm quitting. We had to deal with his dad, but he's 10 years later, he's not regretting it one bit. But he just helped me grow the business, because when you get the right people, one little business secret is, if you get the right person, he'll help you grow, or he or she. If you find somebody that you have to push, or that might have potential, but they don't have the drive, and it's like swimming upstream. You're spending too much time trying to motivate. And I'm not a motivational coach. I just want to find good people and let them loose. Yeah. Make my vision big enough so that they can grab a hold of it, and there's big enough vision for both of us.
Yeah, that's a couple different keys there. Yeah, good. But it's the idea, like you said, it's looking for, you're not hiring for skill set necessarily. You're hiring as much for the motivation, as much for the personality as anything.
Skills
Because
can be taught pretty easy.
yeah, you can teach the skill side, but you can't necessarily teach their mindset and the idea again of having the vision in place that they can buy it into and be a part of there to obviously help with that mentality drive them forward with that. So both of those are
Yeah.
key there.
I heard Tony Robbins say one time that out of all the people that he's worked with, coached, and interviewed, because he knows so many people, he said the number one thing that all of them have is hunger, and they have drive and they want it. And if you got to find people that have that hunger.
Yeah, no, definitely so. So that's interesting. So tell me a little bit more about obviously as you're going, there's a difference between having 2 and 3 people kind of a thing versus having 30. What's different or what's changed in really your role in the company and the way you're doing things now then versus now? Has anything jump out at you?
Yeah, probably the biggest thing is stuff starts to fall through the cracks. You get overwhelmed. You get really busy. You're trying to, as on a personal side of things, when you're managing a lot of people, you try to manage everybody. And then the next thing you know, you're not me. I become the big, the log jam, because
Yep.
I'm trying to put my hands on everything and nothing moves forward. It's like, what's going on? You're working all the time. You feel overwhelmed, and then you realize that you're the problem. You got to change. So in order to get from, I would say, 0 to 1 million, there's one thing you got to do. And then you got to go through the change to get from 1 million to 10 million. And then you got to change again. So I'm in the process of going through that change myself. And I would say the biggest thing is understanding your business, that it's a machine, right? And you have to work it and set up the right systems. And then just because you set up a system doesn't mean it's going to work. You have to then implement it, and then you have to monitor it. And I do these things called feedback loops. I think they're really powerful, where you ask questions, you get the positive results, you get the negative results, and then you fix the negative and you do more of the positive, right? So you just keep building upon itself. You just build this machine, and you're slowly constant improvement. And you build a system where you're reviewing stuff all the time, everything's systemized, and you don't just build it, but then you review it and you say, okay, well, this worked this month, but let's change it. And you're always tweaking, and that's the way to get rapid growth over time.
Yeah. No, and it's definitely the key, like you're saying, that the systems, the tools you had in place for, like you said, 0 to 1 million, definitely different from 1 to 2 kind of a thing there as you grow. That I think they say that as a manager, you're typically not supposed to have more than 6 or 7 people directly reporting to you. And so all of a sudden you had 5 or 6 initially, and now we're going to go beyond that. Now you got to start adding layers and things like that. It definitely adds to the complexity. So having those kind of systems in place is really critical there.
That is true. And that's one of the problems I had, and I've gotten better at just cutting back who I'm working with. And then the people that I'm working with, I'm trying to get them 7 people to work with.
Yeah, get them to step up. So in looking at that, what would you describe as kind of the key characteristics or something of somebody on your team? Like you said, you're looking to have them step up and now turn into a leader instead of just a frontline worker. What are some of the kind of key characteristics you might look at there, or you look at to say, okay, this person could handle leading some people or managing people, whereas this person not quite so much?
The biggest thing that I look for is being proactive, right? I would rather have you go in and do something and make a big mistake and make it really terrible than sit back and wait for me to tell you what to do. I have people that you got to work on them. They don't want to take action, right? They don't want to do anything. It's more like a fear-based thing rather than wanting to take action. So being proactive, trying to make things happen. And hey, ask me questions, don't be afraid to ask me questions. But I'm looking for people that make stuff happen. And if you're just sitting there waiting for me to tell you what to do, you're not going to be a fit.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So looking kind of forward with your business and into the future kind of a thing, what does things look like? Obviously, you said you've got goals and stuff in place. Interested in sharing those, or willing to share anything there? Or what's the future look like for your business?
My ultimate goal is there's multiple, but on the revenue side, I am working towards $20 million a year. I want to continue to build out and really empower 1,000 traders next year to be successful in their trading. So we're working with our clients, helping them to get successful and coach. So our goal is, if we can accomplish the part where we're making people successful, then the revenue part will come. So we focus on the product, on the people we're working with, and then just the revenue will come. But in addition to that, adding more team members, adding more brands, and continually work on our marketing systems, on our customer relationship systems, on our support systems, on our product development systems. I mean, everything. We're just wanting to really put the pedal to the metal and see what we can do next year.
So clarify for me a little bit, when you're talking about different brands, different websites, stuff like that, is that still the same business and you're just doing different target market niche kind of thing, or are you doing different business lines?
Well, I have one business, and then I have expanded different brands underneath those. Similar to what you would see a bigger company do. I'm not a big company, but there's just different niches that the more targeted I am on something specific, rather than I say, okay, I'm just dealing with anything in the markets, but okay, I want to talk about stocks, or I want to teach these people about options. I'm going to teach this person about cryptocurrency. And so we create one brand focused on each one of those areas, and really dive in and become experts in those areas and try to build a brand in that specific industry.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because you obviously, I wasn't sure if you were trying to juggle that many businesses or whether we're really just targeting focused on the niche there. So what's your I'm assuming you didn't jump right out of the gate with all those different brands or all those different target niches. What's kind of been the catalyst of saying, okay, we're going to add a new one, or has it just been kind of happenstance, or was there more strategy behind it?
Some of it is strategy. One of the key things that I like to look at, some of it's happenstance, some of it's strategy. I love to plan, but it doesn't always pan out the way I hope.
Yep.
I'm a big planner. But when I'm strategizing, so here's the thing that I really like to look at is growth potential, right? So if I'm looking at a field, at an industry, is the industry saturated? Is it a new industry? Is there an opportunity for growth in that industry? And if there is, then that's the industry I want to move out first. The one that I believe has the highest growth potential. Let's take a look at example in business. We look at like electric vehicles. We see Tesla as a leader in that industry, right? And there's a lot of growth potential because now they're the first ones in there. They're a leader, and now everybody else is trying to scramble and catch up with them, right? And there's still a lot of opportunity for growth in that industry. And so when I'm looking at an industry, I want to find one that has the highest growth potential, and then ultimately I want to try to be the leader in that industry so that others will follow me and they'll have to scramble to keep up.
No, that makes sense. Okay. So, looking back kind of really at the business side there. So you're talking about obviously the goal setting, the planning kind of a thing there. What is really, when you're growing out the company, when you've added these managers, kind of going back to that, how are you basically tracking, or how are you keeping a sense of a pulse on your business there? You're talking about the different tools and processes. Can you dive into anything more in terms of a management style, or how you work with the growing team and the growing number of people?
So I think measurement is really important, metrics and monitoring those metrics. And so the first metric that's really important for business owners to get to the next level is tracking your bookkeeping and your accounting. It's cash flow management, it's projections of cash flow needed, revenue projections, and just having a really good sense on your numbers. When I first got started, I didn't do that at all. And it's like, okay, I'm making money, this is great. The next thing you know, I'm broke. It's like, well, how does this happen? How did I make so much money and I'm broke? Well, as I've grown, I've learned that the most important thing is to keep track of those numbers and to really have a pulse on them. So I'm getting daily reports, financial reports every day. I have a team that puts those together, and it comes across my email, and I read them every day. I have my team members read those reports, and then my team members have objectives they got to hit. And it's that feedback cycle. Okay, well, you hit numbers in this area, you didn't hit numbers in this area. What do we got to change? What do we got to improve? But constant evaluation of numbers, holding your team accountable to those numbers.
Yeah. So what are the kind of numbers? Obviously, everybody thinks of financial, and unfortunately, a lot of people just equate that to bank balance. But still, beyond financial, what other kind of numbers or what other kind of metrics are you trying to do you see value in from your team?
So the in my business, so I'm an info marketer and I have software. So I teach education. I sell information, and we do software too. But the most important metric is our customer relationship, and so we have to track. Okay, how that does turn into financial numbers eventually, but it's a metric. Okay, well, how's our relationships? How many customers our new customers are we getting? How many customers are we taking from point A to point B to point C? How our review systems that we've set up to get positive reviews. The review system is really powerful because we're monitoring the metrics. We're like, okay, did you like what you got? Yes. Okay, then tell me what you liked. Okay, so then we catalog that and we just do more of the yes. Oh, you like this, you like this. We're gonna do more of that. Oh, you didn't like this? Okay, no. What did we do wrong? Oh, we have this, this, and this. So it's that feedback. I'm getting the negative and the positive. I get it from my customers. And so just implementing that, those metrics have been really powerful.
So tell me a little bit more about that, because that's really obviously tying into the pulse of your customers, tying into the pulse of your customer base to drive the business. But is that just kind of online surveys? How are you doing that, and what kind of frequency or anything like that? How are you capturing that pulse?
So whenever I grab a new customer, we begin a new relationship, we put them in a 30-day customer sequence, right? So the first thing is we share our vision. I really want customers to connect with our vision, and not everyone's going to connect with my vision, but I have a 6 core value point. It's like, look, I want to get people on this team, people that have the same kind of beliefs that I have. And I'll just be like, you might not fit with this, and that's okay, but this is what we believe, right? So I send them through that. Then I send them through all the training. Did you use this training? Oh, no. Well, here, come back and check it. Go back to point 1. Oh, okay. Because if they don't use it, if they don't apply it, it's not going to help them. And I just keep going through the cycle. And then on the end of the 30 days, I send an email that is a review. Did you like the services? So it happens to every new customer. It's an automatic sequence. And so we're constantly doing it totally automated. And then once a month, we have a team meeting where we review all of our reviews.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. And it's really the importance of that. I like what you're saying actually about the vision too there, but still the importance of trying to keep the pulse on them, trying to keep it understanding. But yeah, really having them bought in on the vision side. When you're looking at that concept of vision or that concept, how is that impacted, or do you use it at all with your actual hiring?
Totally. Yeah, I totally use it. I'm looking for people that when I'm hiring, I'm casting a vision, and I'm hiring people because my mission is the same with my customers as it is with my employees, right? I want to help them fulfill their goals. So when they get to the final stage of the interview, we have a whiteboard in my office, and I say, hey, in 5 years, what does your life have to look like to be a success? Right. And so I just keep hammering them. They write all these goals on the board. Like, they want to raise a family. They want to increase their investments. They want to buy their first home. Right. And we write it all down. And it's been amazing because it's really having an impact on their lives. Every interview that I've done, people are like, wow, I've never done this before. This is great. And they take a picture of it with their phone. And then for a good percentage of my employees, they come back and they look at it and they accomplished everything on their list that they did during the interview. And then they share that as a testimony. Then I bring them in, and when it's the hiring, they share that as a testimony to the other people to be hired. Like, oh yeah, I accomplished all my goals when I got hired here.
So do you bring that back, and talking about your feedback loop, do you bring that back a year down the road or 2 years down the road kind of a thing, just in I would say more of a review process or an ongoing something with them, or is that typically?
Absolutely. It's like, hey, do you remember those goals? You're on point with them. You're doing this. You made some progress here. Let's work on some other areas. How's it coming along with you? I kind of look as being the boss is kind of being a father at some regards, trying to help everybody along, and sometimes I get into their business a little bit we're small enough where we can do that, where I can just, help everybody look at things from a different point of view.
Yeah, and that's really the nice, I'd say one of the benefits really of being the smaller, the entrepreneurial kind of company is you really can be in a lot of ways a family. But yeah, I've heard the comment before from multiple leaders of yeah, it's like we're being parents sometimes. That you gotta have the fun, you gotta have the celebration at the same time. You gotta have some of the discipline and the accountability kind of stuff in there as well to say, hey, are you living up to either living up to the goals and the vision of the company, or are you living up to your personal kind of goals, holding you accountable on some of those sides as well. So I've heard that parent kind of analogy before, and it does resonate for sure.
Yeah, and since I have 9 kids, it's not a problem for me.
Lots of experience
I'm
there.
used to it.
Wow. Okay. So looking kind of looking forward, obviously, like I said, we're at the end of 2020 here. What's your perspective from a business standpoint? Obviously, like we talked about early on, the pandemic stuff going on right now, a lot of businesses kind of up and down, but what's your kind of business perspective looking into the new year?
So I'm going to be really focusing on the relationships, because with my particular, I think things are tough right now, to be honest. I think that people are struggling. I think that, there's a lot of people out of work. I think that things are really tight and tough. And so that can make it harder to get new customers. And I'm experiencing that. So that means I need to really take care of the people that I do have. And so I'm focusing on my relationship process, because with the financial side of things, we can help people invest. We can help find good stocks. We can help them create a second source of income. So in the tough times, if we work on the relationship and we help people execute, we can be a really big help to people, and that will help our business. But right now, got to watch all my expenses, watch my customer relationships, be really on point with cash flow.
Yeah, no, the customer relationships, and honestly, yeah, things are tight right now, but still, that's a key going forward. That okay, if nothing else, you want your customers to be your biggest advocates there, and talking to their friends, kind of a thing. So you always want to manage that relationship just from a referral perspective, if nothing else. But yeah, focusing on that, because a lot of times people will look at the new customer acquisition kind of a thing, really focusing, really working there. It's like, okay, don't forget about the ones that are already in the door there. You got to almost build them as much, if not more, kind of a thing than focusing on the new side, because you don't want that. Most businesses, at least, have a longer term relationship. You don't want that constant churn right there. That okay, you invested so much to bring them in the door, don't let them go right out the back door at that point.
Yeah, Jeff, I've learned that lesson the hard way, and I've seen how hard you can't run a business that way. Short term, yeah, you can get all these customers and then they leave, and it just doesn't work long
Yeah,
term.
yeah. Long term, it's not a great one, because if nothing else, like I said, they're not leaving probably with the best attitude or the best
Right.
thought of your business, and
They
that's not going
say
to
a
help you for sure.
negative, a person will tell 2 friends the good news, they'll tell 15 the bad.
And these days on social media, they'll tell the world right there. It's just
Yeah.
like, wow, okay. So social media's got its challenges there. So going back a few years, whatever kind of a thing, what's kind of your best tip, your best strategy that, hey, if I had known this 5 years ago, known this, whatever, that I would have done things a little bit differently kind of in my journey here?
I think for me personally, and some other people might be able to relate to this, some might not, but for me personally is to focus. As an entrepreneur and a guy who always, like, my my personal description of myself is the go-to guy, and that I can do anything. And so I always would say the yes man, I can do any, yes, 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 yes. So as I've experienced, my thing is to focus and to say no, and remembering saying no. If I say no to this, that means I'm saying yes to the big picture. And so to guard my time really critically, measure my time. We talk about all the measurement things about finances, your time, really keep track of that, and focus on the things that are producing the most, and stop jumping around chasing shiny objects.
Yeah, shiny objects is the big one I hear from a lot of visionaries. But yeah, it's focusing on where you can do the best. But at the same time, I would say from a business owner, it's handing those off, those other things. It's not necessarily a no for the company. It's just a no personally of, hey, I've got somebody else that, yes, I could do that, but they can also do it for less, or they can do it potentially even better, kind of a thing. And be able to hand that off is one of the really, to me, the keys for being able to grow.
Jeff, that's a great point, and that's a really exciting point as a business guy. We think that we have to learn everything and know everything, but you know what's cool about running a business is you can get people that are better than you. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm the boss, but this dude does this way better than I do.
Yeah. And that's really key is I forget what the comment was, that if you're the smartest one in the room, then you're probably in the wrong room, kind of a thing there. You
Yeah.
need to bring in some additional talent, because we like to think we can do everything and own everything. And to some degree we can, but like you said, we can be a lot more efficient, we can grow a lot better if we have smarter people around.
Yeah, that's true. I'm more of a jack of all trades, and the people I want to get in are experts at a few things.
Yep. Yep. All right. Well, we're unfortunately running out of time. There's a bunch of different ways I'd love to talk, but tell us a little bit more about the trading company here. If people are interested in learning more about trading or learning more about your system, where can they go find some more information or find you?
Well, they can get access to all of my brands and everything that I'm doing right now at my website, CaseyStubbs.com. I also host a podcast called the How to Trade It podcast. You can get access to that at my website, CaseyStubbs.com. You can reach me on Twitter. It's just Casey Stubbs is my username, and LinkedIn, my username is Casey Stubbs. Those are my two most social platforms where I'm active. And so if you have any interest in business and scaling business, then go ahead and check me out on my website. Or if you have any interest in trading, you can check me out on my website there also.
Great. Yeah, we'll get all those links here in the show notes. You can look at that right here below and come check it out, because yeah, it's definitely an interesting world for sure. So I appreciate the time today. Appreciate the insight into the business, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you again here soon.
Thanks, Jeff. I had a great time. I really appreciate you inviting me to the show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Building to Scale podcast. If you would like to share your entrepreneurial business growth story, please visit buildingtoscale.com/guest. If you got something out of this interview, would you do both us and our guest a favor and share it on your social media accounts? Don't forget to hit subscribe in your player so that you don't miss any future episodes, and make sure to reach out to Jeff Chastain on any of the major social media networks, or check us out at admentis.com.